Okay, so our third learning outcome looks at how we can solve problems using OB. Okay, so problems frequently arise when there is a difference between our actual and desired outcome. So our desired outcome is to keep employees in an organization, right? We don't want them to be, a high turnover. Turnover means that they are changing frequently. However, what if we find that our best performing employees or highly qualified employees are leaving the organization and that there's a high turnover? That's when there is a problem. Okay? So remember, problems deal with outcomes that we do not desire, right? So step number 2 then is to identify certain OB concepts to solve this problem. So we basically ask ourselves, why does this problem happen? Well, it could be due to several OB related concepts like motivation, or it could be compensation. Maybe our employees are leaving because they don't feel, motivated. And we'll discuss a variety of different um, theories on motivation in chapter number 5. Okay, then we look at step number 3. Then now that we've identified the problem, step 1, high turnover. Step 2, that there isn't sufficient motivation. Step 3, what action can we do to rectify that? We'll see in chapter 5 that we deal with motivation through maybe changing the job description. And there's a lot of things like job rotation, maybe changing them across jobs, job enrichment, which is adding more activities or tasks to your job, and so forth. So that is the 3-step approach that we'll be using throughout this book, and that you'll also be adopting for your project. And I'll talk more about with your project instructions. So let's test our knowledge of OB over here. Which of these is not true about defining a problem? Is it managers usually do not spend enough time on defining the problem? It's advisable to skip this step and proceed to make recommendations. After defining the problem, OB concepts or theories can be used to solve the problem, or people often make assumptions, or once problems are defined, OB knowledge can produce better performance for an organization. Okay, well, B is not the correct answer, or B is the correct answer, which is it is advisable to skip this step and proceed to making recommendations. We should never skip the defining the problem stage, because unless that, we cannot really know what is the underlying causes of this problem and how we can proceed to solve it. Okay? So another thing that we want to really emphasize in this chapter is that there is a distinction between the person and environment factors. Person factors these are usually related to the individual, like their intelligence, personality, motivation, while situation factors are usually outside of the control of the employee, but nevertheless affect him. That could be the job description, the organizational culture. So does it emphasize motivating employees? Does it really encourage them to really go out of their comfort zone and be more innovative and creative? And we need to understand that anything in the environment that happens as an interplay between the person and what they bring to the table, as well as the environment they work within, and these are the situation factors. And this book focuses to a large extent on this distinction. Okay, so let's test our knowledge here again. Which of the following is most important when using OB to solve problems? Is it person factors? Is it environment? Is it interdependence of person factors and environmental characteristics? Is it environmental characteristics? Interdependence of person factors and changes on a group or team level, or independence of person factors and environmental characteristics? Based on what we've just said in the previous slide, it should be B, interdependence of person factors and environmental characteristics. Remember, It is a combination of what you bring to the table with your motivation, with your values, with your intelligence, as well as the workplace that you work within, and that these are the environmental characteristics. So the last organizing framework that we want to talk about, and the entire book is based on this, is that there are 3 different boxes here. We have inputs, and remember, anything that happens in an organization is from that input stage. So your personal factors like your intelligence, as we said before, your motivation, all of these are personal characteristics, as well as situational factors like the organizational culture, the job description, all of that. These are inputs into behavior, which then affect processes at the individual, group, and organizational level. So we'll see processes at the individual level like decision making, how you make decisions, group and team level, how people work within a specific group, and they also affect processes at the organizational level. We won't be talking too much about processes at organizational level in this course. We don't have enough time for it. This ultimately leads to specific outcomes at the individual, group, and organizational level, and the textbook has an entire page showing you what are the variety of different outcomes that we'll talk about. So at the individual level, they could be job satisfaction. At the group level, it could be the performance of the team. So if you're developing a new software, does the software really is developed within the specific time frame that you want? Is the team sufficiently motivated? And finally, there are outcomes at the organizational level. Remember, an organization ultimately exists to achieve specific objectives. So if you're a for-profit organization, do you achieve specific targets for sales, for profit, for maybe safety of your employees? Okay. Or if you're non-profit, do you really achieve your social objectives of maybe making sure that you have enough blood in the blood bank for your patients, that you have enough food for the food drive that's coming up, and so forth. Okay. So that wraps up our chapter in which we introduced organizational behavior. Okay. But there is also one thing that I just wanted to emphasize before also I forgot about, is that when we select the most effective solution, which is in step number 3, we have to take into consideration, what are the consequences for all of the people involved? Have I considered that, these solutions are feasible? Do I have the necessary resources? What is my selection criteria? Is it that I want to make sure my employees are happier, that there's higher profit, that I'm meeting certain ethical guidelines, and so forth? Okay, so let's test our OB knowledge over here. The organizing framework for understanding and applying OB is based on a systems approach using person and environmental factors as inputs. Processes including individual level, group, or team level, and organization level. Outcomes organized into individual level, group, or team level, and organization. E, all of these are correct. So if you stated E, all of these are correct, then you are selected the right answer. Okay, so all of these are integrated in the framework that we have just presented over here. So that